Hey everyone, this is Chuck. Hope you're doing well today. The topic I want to cover today is customer segments and strategic objectives. The idea really behind it is understanding the different segments your customers are at, and segments being those groups of customers that have similar characteristics and desires, and then coming up with a supply chain strategy that supports that. So let me go share my screen. We'll go over to the whiteboard here. Okay. And let's make sure that we're sharing things here. There we go. So here's what we're talking about. If we look at it at a very simplistic level, we could argue that customers fall in a category or a continuum from wanting low cost all the way to the other side of being wanting something different, be it quality, longevity, agility, responsiveness, dependability, whatever, in the product that they're buying. And we have the same thing in supply chain, is we've got to come up with supply chains that support all that. So what I want you to think about is this concept right here. I'm going to write it up on top, is we have to be aligned with and supportive of what the customers want. So what we're talking about is, I'm going to do this little set of lines down the middle here, is, we do sourcing and we do planning and we do receiving, and we've got to schedule labor or staff labor, and we've got to manufacture and pick and pack and pull and ship and all these activities during the course of a day, week, or whatever. The challenge is looking at those tasks that we do and build a supply chain that supports the strategy. So as an example here, I'm just going to pick out labor as an example because it's the most readily obvious one out there for us. But if our customers are looking for low cost, so I'm going to want to buy it at the smallest cost, least cost, cheapest cost, whatever. If I'm the manufacturer and I'm staffing for labor, my answer essentially is going to be no extra labor involved in managing my store, manufacturing process, capacity, whatever, because any extra unused labor costs me money. Whereas on the right side, if I'm competing on, let's say, responsiveness, customer needs it right away, willing to pay for it, then you could argue to some extent that extra is okay, because having that extra, it is going to cost me more if it's not being used, but when it is used, customers willing to pay for it, and that shows up in the price to the customer. So when we look at this whole idea of customer segments and strategic objectives, we want to make sure the decisions we're making, the supply chain we develop, is aligned with and supportive of what the strategy is. Now, I'm going to keep talking here for a second, and I'm going to disappear on you here and coming right back because I want to grab this book here. We're going to talk about this in a later video because it's going to come up in topics and some of the new certifications that ASCM is having. But this book right here, Transforming Supply Chains by Gatorna and Ellis, I just read it as part of my studies here, and they talk about we've got 5 different types of customer segments out there, which means we could have up to 5 different supply chains. And so we've got to really figure out what are the different customer segments and what is the appropriate supply chain with it. Now, they don't argue for a magical number in the book, but they go deeper into this topic we have here. But this is the one I wanted to capture for us to begin with, is that whole idea of our strategic objectives in supply chain. They have to align with and support what the customer is looking for and the customer segment.